We're going to talk about designing and hopefully turning some finials or a finial for an ornament. So the ornaments, Dan showed us how to make these a couple of months ago, and then I got roped into doing the finials because I think I made a few things with finials in the past. So somebody thought, yeah, I could do it. So I've been practicing trying to turn these things with skews. And so if you look, I've got a whole bunch of different ones that I practiced on. So you have different shapes. So here's one that I tried to pick, mimicking the shape of the globe in the beginning of the finial as well as in the top finial. And these are all before I took the class from Condy Drozda. So, and my skill set is not the greatest yet, but it's still getting better. So there's one version that I had made. Here's another one with black wood. Again, I just picked something, so I picked trying to put the shape of the globe in it. And I tried to pick positions that are kind of using kind of like the golden mean, so that's like a third of the way down. And they're not necessarily the right length. I knew what they were supposed to be, and I didn't necessarily turn them to the dimension they were supposed to be. But then you can also go the other way and go with a short one. So they're all a little different, but
Did you do those with a skew?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, a couple of them I cheated and used a spindle gouge on a few parts, but almost all of it was with a skew. But when I say the skew, most of the time, I'm not using these skews that are like this. My skews, I'll show you in a minute, my skews are most of them are smaller. So I made a whole bunch of different size skews. So then this one is just something different, and one of the things is to mimic the shape in your finial. So this one, this is a hollow piece, and I just was playing, and then I said, well, let me just mimic that whole shape down here, just to give something different. So I don't know, is it better for you to look at it down there? Okay. And then I have, so these two I made after I took that class, the class from the demonstration from Cindy. So, and I like the shape of this. It's actually longer than it should be for this dimension. Again, let me put it down. It's longer. It's not, if you go by the golden mean stuff, it's an inch longer than it was supposed to be, and that was just from my brain not thinking when I put it on the lathe. I thought it should have been 5.85 inches, 4.85 inches, and I made it 5.85 inches. But that's the way it goes. And then I made this one a little bit shorter. But again, when I'm turning these things, sometimes the features don't come out exactly where they're supposed to. So, and one of the key things that I knew, but what I never do it is you should make a drawing first. And what Cindy said, oh, well, she's doing ornaments, she may not make a drawing. But, she's been doing thousands of these things forever. When she's making a vessel, she says she always makes drawings beforehand of her finials. And I realized that even if I'm making a toothpick, I should probably make a drawing first. So I'm starting, and that's where if I can ever learn how to use Fusion, it might help. And that's where Chuck's going to help us tonight, because you guys are going to help us now design the finial we're going to try to turn. Yep.
When you told us you knew the length one of those had to be. How did you get to that length?
Okay, and there's no set in stone guidelines. What I went by is I said, all right, this globe is 3 inches. So then I said, well, this if you go by, you want this to be based on the golden mean, this should be 1.618 times 3 inches. And that's where the 4.85 comes from. Or you could divide it by the golden mean.
So it's 1.618, either multiply or divide.
That was my thinking. That's this. I mean, and I mean, Cindy had some of that kind of stuff, but then she also had could 2 and 3 times. You can make things longer too, but that was the idea: is to try to get something that is going to be visually you're going to nice when you look at it. I'm not an artist, so I mean, I'm learning. Yes, sir.
Exactly. Nobody will ever see the difference.
Not the point.
And when I give these exact measurements, if you measure the part, it ain't going to be the same either. But so then the idea is how do you want the flow of the shape to go? So what now you can look from the bottom to the top, and well, let's go ahead on the drawing now and look at the stuff that.
Would you like to draw it on a board first, and I copy it, so is it easier?
Well, I'm not very good at that either.
Okay, but I can do this too. I'm an architect, I'm trained in this.
Yeah.
So, we start with the circle, well. All right. So this is where he started at. All right, go ahead.
All right, so we start with the globe, and then we want to,
That's 3 inches.
and then we say, okay, so how long do I want to make this? And I say if I use the golden mean, it makes it 4.85. So let's say that's here.
Okay, so I got 4.85. Good draw center line. Okay?
And then when I start making the shapes of the finial, I want to start with a point down here, and then basically have it get bigger as it goes up. So if we put in,
What do you want to do?
put in your lines across the top, down the sides.
Out to here?
No, we don't want to go that big like this.
Okay.
So we're going to go pick something up here that makes sense. And what I did is I looked at these and where the top would go in and say, how big can I go? So let's say this one I think was 1.25 inches. So now we go from here to here and we draw a straight line down.
Question.
Yeah.
Are you describing the finial that is on one side of the sphere right now, or are you describing something that is going through the sphere?
I'm
It's
both.
an imaginary line.
It's an imaginary line, and it's basically both. So if I hold this up, it's a line that kind of starts up here and comes straight down to the tip here. So the idea is kind of, and if you show now, if you
All right.
So if I got you straight, with that drawing up there, it would be 7.85 would be the total length on it so far.
yes,
Thank you.
Well, it's missing the top finial yet.
yeah, it doesn't have the top one on it.
Yes. Okay,
But see how, where'd you go?
I get
So-
it.
so there you go.
Yeah. So that's he cleaned
So
these up and made them nice.
So he picked this point here, okay? I don't know how Steve got that measurement, but he picked a measurement, and then he drew this all the way down to here. Now notice that these points hit that triangle.
Okay,
All right, that's what he's trying to demonstrate.
Yeah.
all right.
So that's one option of how you can look at what it might look like. And we got a photographer there that ought to have some better ideas on it too, some other ideas. But So there's a lot of ways you can change from there, but that's the idea, is you want your eye to kind of flow through the part, so it just kind of, visually, and her idea was the top finial should be included in that. So as you're going up, it includes the top finial. Now, I went as wide as I could on the top ones based on the structure of the top of the vessel. I could have gone wider, but I figured there was a solid part, and that's what I kind of picked as the top for the wide part.
Steve, so you basically kind of figured the shape and size of the top piece before you can work your design for the bottom? So maybe if you're making a smaller and wider
Yeah.
top versus a
Yeah.
narrower and taller top.
Yeah, and that's basically, I would say that's correct. You make the and when we made it in this class, what she did is she made the globes first.
Right.
And one of them is like a little birdhouse, and that one, the finials were very short, but it looked like a little birdhouse. And the other one, it was like a globe, but it was squished a little, and so flattened out a little.
Okay.
And then you draw those lines and say, all right, this is how I'm going to try to make the finials. And then the shape of the finial in there is she picked this thing, the center point of that ought to be roughly, again, the 1/3, 2/3 kind of distance. And then you just pick. One of the things I found, I think on a lot of things I tried to make, I made them too busy. So in a lot of cases, a few lines is actually better than too many. Yeah, so I mean, I kind of like the way these two came out. And I have to admit, I did them with a skew, but the old sandpaper cutter was also important. Okay, so now what we're going to do is Chuck's got he's going to put his drawing up, and you guys are going to give input on how we ought to modify the shape and how many, it's not just the overall shape. You can have, like this thing reproduces the shape here, down here, so we can add things like that. So I want to see what we can come up with as something I ought to put on a lathe and try to turn. Yep.
Just a quick comment. Is it possible to get a screenshot of it and send that out with the next newsletter or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, Chuck can send
I
that.
can send that out as a PDF to anybody that wants it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Send out the whole club.
Okay, so this is the one, when I went to Steve's house, this is the one that we created based on his measurements, all right? And then we said, okay, fine, what else can we do with that? So we basically stretched this shorter to what it should have been if he would have used the chart right. So this was,
Yeah, that's exactly correct.
right? So it would have looked like that, all right? So remember in January where the guy came out and he said you have to build 100 of these before you find out, what the shape is you like, and you had to use all kinds of subjective decisions. So
That was the Jack Vessery talk, when he was just showing eggs, basically, with little differences. So that's what I thought. This would be something useful here, is to look at things and try to figure out what you think is, if you do a drawing first, it's a lot better than just start cutting on the wood. And that's what I'm learning, which I don't always pay attention to, but I think it's an important part.
Can I say something here? What you have there, Chuck, and these, the globe is a very different size. I find these finials to be too small for that globe of that size. Does that make
okay,
sense?
Okay.
bring
All right, all right.
it back up. All right, so you're saying you think,
I like that. I like,
so I got 1, 2, if I can, just for a second. So then we shortened it again,
Or make the globe smaller.
okay? So I got 1, 2, and 4. 3 we played around with, okay, doing something funky here to change that. So which one of those 4 do you like best?
2.
2.
4.
I like the last one.
I kind of like 4 there. It was a cane.
Okay? So it's the same thing that happened in January, if you remember. Nobody could agree, on anything, but,
Which is okay.
which is
No, I'm
perfect.
not
Yeah.
talking about that globe. I'm talking about the round part itself.
Yeah, okay, so
You're talking about this part?
Globe itself.
make the globe smaller in one of them.
The globe smaller?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
This one.
Okay, all right.
Bigger.
So I just happen to have one over here. So let me go in there.
well, you said you wanted a bigger finial for the size of the globe. So if you have the same size finial, make the
Yeah.
globe smaller,
To me, this should have been.
smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what he's gonna do in the drawing.
Okay.
All right, so you want a smaller globe.
No, I like that, there. To me, what you're showing on the table, the globe is too big for the finial.
Okay, but dimensions are the same, or very
That's that
close to
one.
the same as what's there.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what she's seeing is the base and the cap come out wider on the sphere, but you can't do it on Dan's globes because the piercings.
Well, we put, the dimensions we put on were as close to these as we could get. So it may be that it just looks different
Yeah.
here.
Maybe, but I like the longer finial better. It's
Okay.
just, you know,
Yeah,
personal
and that's, yeah, and I did too. I liked the longer. My wife looked at it and she liked the shorter one better.
The question is, what is the software we're using for this? In my ear, I'm hearing it on the Zoom.
This is AutoCAD Lite.
But if you were to use the one in the program, it would be the same.
Fusion 360.
Fusion 360 is a version, a simpler version, a light version of what he's got. So if we can learn how to use Fusion 360, you don't have to spend thousands of dollars to get the other one.
Or go to class like he does.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't have to pay for the class anymore either.
Okay, so let's just try something for fun and games and show you how this works. You like that better?
No.
Okay, so all I did was stretch. I stretched the top piece. I don't know. I don't know how much I stretch it, so I don't know how it relates to the, to the golden rule. But,
Gives it more of an icicle look
okay.
over there.
So Steve, that would be another alternative, making that one longer. Everybody seems to like the bottom, whether or not it's 2 or 4, but this is an alternative.
Can you make number 4 top to go in a little more slender?
You want it to go in there a little more slender? Sure.
You're talking about the top part?
Yeah, he's right where he said,
Pulling it in now.
yeah.
I'm trying to draw it off of the screen up here.
I know.
A little too far.
A little too far. You can bring it down. Just copy it and reverse.
Like that better? Too narrow? Too narrow?
They're not the same on both sides, are
Yeah, they are.
Oh, yeah. Let's look
But
at
anyway,
the side.
it's just, all we're doing is playing here, you know?
Yeah.
And so, again, it's gonna be up to the eye of the beholder. Yeah, Ron?
Can you make the top narrower and the bulb on the bottom finial narrower so that the angle of that icicle is smaller?
Okay?
Oh.
So narrow in the base of the top.
Yeah, so essentially you're
Okay.
saying bring those lines in.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
And then
Okay.
have everything fit inside them.
Yeah.
Okay.
'Cause you were bound by Dan's opening.
Yeah.
We're not here.
But I could have gone smaller. I could have easily done that.
Let's try it, see whether or not you like it. All right, so what we're doing is, we're gonna,
Shrink the whole thing.
There you go.
bring that in.
Yeah.
All right, so what that does, okay, that's gonna take that triangle in from there to there.
Are those Nova chucks?
Yes.
Okay. I thought so.
Yeah, I brought the chuck because I had these jaws on it. And that was one of the things I learned. Make sure you chuck it on something that's substantial. Because I did it on, I sometimes have trouble turning that down to be exactly the right size to fit in the piece. So I tried doing that beforehand and then chucking on that. So it was only 5/8 inch diameter, and it was not a good idea. So,
Steve, what if you multiplied 1.6 here and divided by 1.6 here?
that might be, yeah. That would be close to what you have there, I think.
That's what I'm thinking.
And that would be the dimension of the globe, that's 4 points.
Yeah, it shows it's skewed. What are you using for steel?
So I have a collection of a little everything, so that's what I'm going to show you right now.
All right, do you like that one better? The triangle's a lot smaller.
Yeah.
I like it better.
Right, one on the most right.
Well, if you're gonna use Cindy's design, I mean, her stuff is so delicate, so there's nothing bulbous
Yeah.
about her finials and isomers.
Do you know if you can go on AAW and pay to see Cindy's workshop? Do they keep it, do they store it? Or is it,
I don't know. I mean, I'll get a video I can look at for 30 days when she gets it finished of this one, but take the video. I mean, she'll teach this other classes. Just it'll be worth your while.
okay.
And it was done on video? The class was done on video?
Well, it was online. I mean, so she was there. She was there for 5 hours. She was standing there going through stuff.
Okay.
And it's $20. I mean, it's really, for 5 hours worth of you can't beat that, yeah.
$4 an hour.
And I sent her pictures of the pieces I made, and she replied back. Of course, her reply back was, oh, she really liked the globes with the.
That was feedback, Steve.
But in terms of doing things with the skew, if you're shaping the main thing like this, get a big one. That works real good. You get a nice clean finish on it. Now I did it between centers and then turn the spigot on it for putting in the lathe. But then if you want to do, as you get to the smaller and smaller details, I go to smaller and smaller skews. I have we're missing one of them.
Right there.
Let's try this one. No? I don't know, doesn't matter. Oh, here it is. So then you might go down to one, this size, to getting something a little smaller. And then as you get down to these little details, Now, I watched a video, and somebody had a skew that was this big, and he was cutting stuff like this. Not for me. For me, using a skew, if I'm doing this one works a lot better. So half of these I just got pieces of drill rod and just made them myself. So this is like, I think I got 5 of these for $8 or something. So you just grind it yourself to make the skew. And so I bought the 1/4-inch one. This is a Sorby, and I think without a handle that was like $30. And then this one was a piece. This one I think is like, I forget, 8 millimeters, something like that. No, it's not that big. 5 millimeters, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this one I think was more like 4. And then I have a piece. If you really want to get in tight, I have this is 2 by 8. So I made one out of that. Now you don't want to do something really heavy with that because it vibrates too much, but when you're just trying to cut a fine detail, being narrow like that, and you're using just that little point to do it, it works nice. So I'm not an expert on any of this stuff. So I'm sure that there's probably a couple of you out here that are better with a skew than I am. You know, if Steve Schwartz was here, he's very good with a skew. But I'm learning. And the one thing I would say is a lot of people are afraid of them. Don't be afraid of them. They're not going to, you know, the worst you're going to do is
Kill yourself.
You're gonna break it. You're gonna break it.
Yeah, I mean, the worst, you're not going to do anything. Now, this one is one of the rounded ones, like the one that Jared had over there. And I find these work pretty good for cutting coves. Yep.
Did Cindy do her demonstration with skews?
Absolutely not.
She used the
She's got like 5 different gouges that she used. Some of it was even using a 40-40 bowl gouge for a couple of things. But that was more on the vessel, not as much on the finial. But she had detail gouges. You name it. She had a whole bunch of different ones. So, but they were all you know, almost all spindle gouges of various types. And actually one other thing she had for finishing up the thin parts is she had a special, it's called, the tool rest is actually a finial tool rest. It comes from one end, it's long and skinny. And she said that really works good because what she's doing with a thin thing, she's got her hand holding the and her fingers onto the tool rest and then doing the turning with the other hand. So she's steadying the piece with her fingers, and they have these special tool rests that work real well for that. And I'm probably going to buy one just because it looks like it'd be fun to play with. It's basically like a 1/2-inch diameter rod, but it has the 1/4-inch hard piece on the top of it. But it comes from one end, and then the tool rest comes out just from one end, about 6 inches.
Huh.
So if anybody wants one of those, I can send you the company that has them. They're $60. They're not terrible. And if you want with a 5/8, it's only $55. Okay.
Question for you. I've tried this a couple of different times, like I'm sure a lot of you have. How do you keep the bottom from chipping out? I mean, is it because the sharpness of the tool? 'Cause I mean, I get the wood to, maybe it's the kind of wood you're using. Because I get little chip outs.
It could be a little everything. All right, let's go ahead okay, if we're going to start cutting, I need some dimensions I got to put down. So, how long is the overall piece? Let's say we're going to do this one, is that still?
The new one? We're going to do this one?
Yeah.
Well, okay. It is, say, 6 inches.
Okay.
Okay? 6 inches. Close enough for cover.
Wait a minute. I got to put a big one in there. This is 6 inches exactly from there, and I have to cut part of the end off. So let me just put one of the longer ones here.
Well,
Yeah, we'll go with the big one. That's all right. Yeah, this one.
Question from the web.
Yeah.
What kind of chuck are you using on that?
This is a Nova chuck, Nova 2 with 35 millimeter extended jaws. So that was something I had that was roughly the right diameter and beefy enough. What she used is something from, I forget who, Axminster or somebody, but it was a big triangular piece of metal. And she said the nice part was it's massive, so it doesn't vibrate as much. And it's much smoother, so if your knuckles hit it, it doesn't hurt as much. But I don't think Nova has that one, so I just have to watch my knuckles. But I'll be working back at this end most of the day anyway. So let's. What I did is I put a piece of tape along here so we can put some dimensions on it. I mean, we can mark them on the stick right now, but they disappear quick. So you're saying 6 inches total.
Yep.
Okay, where's,
All right, then you're gonna go down exactly 1 inch to the middle of the first, this guy, 1 inch down,
okay,
okay?
okay, now bring me to the,
To the center of the bulb, okay,
Okay.
is 11/16.
from that last mark,
Yes, from the last mark.
11/16. Okay, where's the end of the globe?
Okay, which part are you talking about? This part?
No, yeah, right here.
Okay. How far down is that?
Yeah.
From the center, 1/8.
Just an eighth, really?
Are you talking, let's see, okay, you,
No, from the high part of the globe to that part right
to
there.
the bottom?
Yeah,
Okay. From there. To the center of that, 11/16. Yeah, where we got that?
where, 11/16 from the,
There it is, right there. From the center, you take it from the center of this guy
okay, all right.
to the
All right, all right,
11/16.
all right. Yes. Wait a minute, I got something screwed up on my dimensions. Because if it's only going,
1 inch down, then 11/16 to the center of the bulb. And this, that was an eighth, that was an eighth, and that was an eighth.
oh, I put the wrong thing down. That a half inch wasn't what I thought you were telling me. All right, so from, let's see, go from,
Yeah, the measurements on the left side are your diameters.
yeah, so 1 and 11/16 from the, all the way down.
Yeah, is the bulb.
All right. 1 and 11, okay, I got that. Close, okay, and then back from that to that edge is, yeah, that, what's that dimension you say is 11/16?
Which one
The
are you looking?
one, yeah, 11/16, you got that one, okay, yeah, yeah, that works. Close, all right, and now all the way to, let's go to,
Okay, so
basically
then,
all the way to, well, the end is 6, so, and then
Right.
we can just put the other stuff in as we go. All right,
You have your tape mark?
most of it, except I didn't put the last one on. All right. Well, I'll totally screw it up anyway, but that's all right.
oh, I see. So you put the dimensions on the tape.
Comment
I got it
online.
on both, but because as soon as I start turning, they go away on the wood.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Well, that was, that one came from Barbara too. when you're doing some of her stuff, it's important. She's important to have those on there. So
Comment online, Steve,
Yep.
was, would it make sense to maybe print that out ahead of time and then kind of use it as a template?
oh yeah, oh no question about it. Yeah, no, I mean, I had a drawing that I had on paper that I was using, and much easier than trying to do it like this, but,
On like a story stick.
all right. So let's see what we got here. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is clean up the end a little bit, although I don't have to. I could start turning it down first, so I don't have to.
Which end are you starting with?
You always start, I don't always, but what you should always do is start at the small end and work your way back, because you want to have the least vibration. You want to have it solid as you're doing it. And that's true when you're making a bowl too. I mean, that's just
Okay, then
general.
You need a couple more dimensions on your thing.
All right.
All right.
For now.
Jared, can you put me on?
Yeah.
All right, so from the bottom of the bowl, we're going up a 1/2 inch to there. That's a 1/2 inch.
All right.
Okay, so you gotta know where that line's
All right.
coming in.
All right.
Don't argue with the architect.
The bottom of the bowl, you need a 1/2 inch. That'll get you started.
For your little decorative.
All right.
Okay.
All right, so let's start making a little bit of shavings. And faster tends to be better. So this is right now 2,300 RPMs. So we're going to start just taking some wood off here. It's really no different than you'd be doing if you're using a spindle gouge. Notice I'm not quite round yet. And you could easily be using a rough and gouge for this and probably get there faster. I sometimes use it, but her comment was, yeah, I could right now. And I don't know if, well, let's see if it makes any difference. Yeah, you can't leave it there for long. Once you start getting down lower, it doesn't work. See, that's what happens, especially when you try to go too fast. But I mean, the one thing you see is with the skew, even with my screw ups up here where it's going to be messy, but you look down here and you got a really nice finish. So now get this out of here and we start making this end smaller. So first thing is to make it square and get rid of the hole in the middle. So that's what that long point is for. Yep.
Is there a reason why you have marks when you skew?
That was from sharpening it.
Okay.
That was just so I could get the angle right. No, when I was, because I did this on my 6x48 belt sander, and I had this. I have a jig to hold these things, but I had to pull it back the right amount. So that was what that was from. Yep. No, that's good. But you can take, you can take just a little bit off. So that's basically cleaned up. So now the next thing we've got to do is start going down to the dimension of that tip part.
The 1/2 inch up. The 1/2 inch up is 5/16.
Okay. So I'll start, I can take the whole thing down to the 5/16. So let's try this one, just try something different. And I got that up a little too high, and I'm gouging up my tape so my marks are disappearing. Thank you.
Half-inch back, 5/16.
Okay, let's see what I am right now here. I'm just about a half. I'm about a half right now.
Okay.
So I can go down a little bit more.
8/16.
But you don't want to do. Okay, so that's probably close. So then the next thing I would do is pick that half-inch mark up, and so the half-inch is in the middle of the two.
Right there.
Oh, at the long one. Okay. Oh, that's the. All right. So
It's a half-inch up, and it's 5/16 inch in diameter.
you're
Yeah, it's 3/8 to here. 3/8 of an inch here.
all right.
Okay, because that's an eighth. That's an eighth, and that's supposed to be an
But
eighth.
I'm looking at your dimension here. That half-inch goes from there to there. Okay.
Half inch from the tip to the top of the second bead, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not to the widest point of
No, no, to the top.
it's to the top head. There you go.
I think the first bead is an inch.
All right. So okay. So I can go a half-inch. I can start
Yeah.
trying to cut something in. We'll be close. All right. So the half-inch is forget what we did. All right, now we have another bead right off it, right? In front of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so that's just gonna be my reference point.
Yep,
Now I'm gonna
yep.
start taking the other piece down. I'm gonna start taking. Getting too much of that bead away. I'm supposed to have another bead right here.
Oh, good job.
See, what I was doing the first time, I was going back too far. Now I gotta get rid of. we got a little bit different shape. I'll probably screw this up. Now I'll use it the way Chuck likes to use the skew. Now we're going to go on, these beads have to get smaller, but before that I got to get rid of some more wood coming up to them. Now I got to make those beads a little bit smaller. Just figure out where the high point of my bead is going to be right about here. So now we basically got a lot of wood to go away.
Question, Steve.
Yeah.
When you come down like that there, how many times you've knocked your beads off? Slip and knock your beads
Numerous
off?
times. Because you got to be real careful in knowing where the tips are. And if you're using the short point, see how it rolls the wood? See how it's got that little roll, makes a little circle? Well, when you're doing that, it's hard to know exactly where that tip is. So when you get close to where your bead is ending, you got to be real careful.
Okay.
And I don't think it would matter if you're using a spindle gouge. You still got the same issues. It's no different. One of the things I noticed on some of the spindles you see is they actually came down real thin here and then came back up a little as it came to those last two elements. I haven't usually done that, but what the hell? The worst that happens is I get cut it off.
Space needed.
And Ray had told me before, I was making all my stuff too big. I gotta go thinner, so that's just, as you get better, you can do that. Now I got this one way too wide, so I gotta trim that back. Now it's almost to the point where scraping helps a little. So now I do have a spindle gouge, but I'm going to use it as a scraper. Yeah, so that's not perfect, but you got the idea on how you're trying to get down. And now the key is to go back up to where the main bead is supposed to be, and I guess I go back about a half an inch to the bottom of the bead. I don't have it on
Can
there.
you put it on? Yep. There you go. There's the dimensions.
That's 11/16, and that's a half, so that means that's
At 11, at 1 inch and 11/16, it's 11/16 inch wide.
yeah. And then I'm going back
Which is
to
that
where
point
it's-
right there.
Yeah, and then I go back
It's down
11/16 to where, yeah, it's 11/16 where it goes down to a half
Yeah.
inch. A little before that, actually.
We'll just make a little more.
Somewhere around there. So now, we've got a lot of wood to take
Is that
out.
the center of the bulb?
That's the center of the bulb is at this line.
Okay, that has to be 11/16 inch diameter.
All right, and that's the biggest thing I'm gonna have until I get
Yeah.
way near the end. So there's a lot of wood that can go away. So the marks I just made are gone. Marks again. I've just destroyed everything on the tape. So I guess using blue painter's tape may not be the right thing to use there.
Well, Steve, probably not putting it on the top. Take it
I should be on the edge over here.
Right.
All right, good idea. All right,
That's why I was saying, if you designed it beforehand, print a scale copy out
Yeah.
and tape it
Yeah.
below the hardened rod.
yeah, so from the tip, from this tip here,
Yes.
where's my globe, the biggest part of it?
From the tip to the center of the globe is 4 inches and 3/16.
Okay. And then roughly here for the other parts. Now I'm gonna start,
Comment from online,
yep,
instead of using a skew every time, what if you use a pencil to make your markers?
it's still gonna disappear just
Or
as
instead
fast.
of a parting to the feet. I'm repeating one.
Yeah, it would be fine, but no matter what you use, as soon as you turn them, it's going away. So I don't think it would make a lot of difference. let's take this one. So we'll start going this way.
Yeah, the follow-up comment is if you think the parting tool, you get it close to the right depth, then you
Oh,
kind of
that
work
would be,
your way down.
that would be a good way to go.
Cut that to 11/16.
Yeah, that would be a smart way to go.
3/4 inch, 3/4 inch diameter
So if I
with
take,
parting tool.
this is now my favorite parting tool. It's that 2 millimeter by 8 millimeter. It works. So I'm supposed to go down at this dimension. The main globe is what's the dimension there?
3/4 of an inch. Gives you 16 to play with.
All right, let's.
You're not there yet.
Not quite there, but a little more. If I can make it a little, okay, and then the next one is all the way down. I'm not gonna take too much. All right, so now I know I have a lot of wood to take off here. Much better the other way. Use my homemade banana tool. Now I can try to start rolling that a little bit more. Now, with all that squeaking there, that's where it would be nice to be able to use my fingers to support it. But if I try to do that with this right now, I'm probably going to end up worse trying to do this with one hand. That did a good job.
There you go.
What I don't know is if I really messed the whole thing up good on that one. But let's just see if I can get it straight again.
Steve.
Yeah? Okay. All we'll do is see if I can, if it,
Design opportunity.
yeah. I'm just curious to see if it,
Oh, not bad.
yeah, it's almost straight again anyway.
That's good.
So we'll just try to just see if it would have been salvageable. just like a spindle gouge or any other gouge, start on rubbing and then bring it up, and that's what I didn't do. A little flat there. Anyway, when you're bringing these down, you want to make sure, just like anything else you're turning, nice, even curvature. That's sometimes where I cheat with the sandpaper to help. But of course, Cindy says, "Oh no, you got to do that all with your turning tool." Anyway, so, I mean, that part's almost the right shape, so not perfect by any means. And I obviously screwed up these things, so I have to make them very much smaller.
Or eliminated.
Anyway, like I say, I'm still learning with these, but they're fun tools, so don't be afraid of trying them. All they're going to do is ruin a piece for you. It's not the tool; it's the person using it. So, but I mean, it's, you know, you get such a nice finish with them that you really should try them. And when you're doing detail, yep.
I didn't want to say anything because I felt like you were being safe for this, but like for those who are new to turning, I don't want to set a bad example. I got nervous every time you reached over the spinning thing to grab a tool. I was worried you're going to give yourself a purple nurple. I'm glad you didn't. But
It's not the right place to have the tools.
For those who are new to this, we want to set an example. You really don't want to lean over the. He was being careful.
I mean, and one other advantage here, it's a small diameter.
Yeah.
If you had a bowl here, don't even think about it.
Well, but even the small diameters could fry up the thing and grab, you know.
You're right.
Likely snap off. I'm just for the point of those who are new to this, we want to set a good example.
And this is absolutely not where I would have my tools stacked when I was working in the shop.
They're not in their own shop.
Right. Well, I mean, and even here, having a table back here is really where the tools should be, not out in front. Yeah.
Steve, I'd like to compliment you for both the demonstration and the courage for standing up there and trying so many new things with Chuck over there.
Anyway, what this should tell everybody here is, don't be afraid of getting up here and making a fool of yourself.
See, I was wondering, because everything you shape falls within that cone that you initially drew, would you ever just shape it down to a cone to start, or is that removing too much vibration?
If you did that, the problem is, you notice how much vibration I got out here? You'd make that worse. So ideally, when I was turning out here, it was vibrating a lot more. That's still pretty stiff. And I was probably being too aggressive. So what the comment from Cindy was, well, when you're trying to fine-tune the shape, just take really light cuts. And I wasn't. I was surprised it got, that part came out almost where it belongs. And I'm almost to the point where 80 grit cutter would be the next one. Yep. So anyway,
Thank you.
It's fun.